Good morning, everyone. If anyone's expecting summer of '69, this is the time to leave. I'm really excited to be here. Now, that presents one problem. I swear when I'm excited. Has anyone got a problem with swearing? Just one guy at the back. Go fuck yourself. Guys, I was in a slight bullish, even arrogant mood when I put this proposal for this slide deck together. Predicting the future of the next 10 years of content marketing isn't easy. So then I sat down and thought, great, okay, I've got to put this together now. But I have got two main motivations that has helped me, which I'll go into in a second. I've also gotten insight into the last 10 years of running a digital content agency, which should allow me to give you some value today. But before I do, can I just context the audience? Who is here from an SME today? Raise a hand. Okay, a few of you. Who's a corporate brand? Okay, fine. Who's an exhibitor board? Okay, good. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Any students? Okay, I've no idea what the fucking rest of you do, but we'll just crack on. Anyway, okay, so there's two things that motivated me to talk to you today, okay? And there are two fears, okay? The first fear is it is getting incredibly more difficult to reach an audience these days. Incredibly more difficult. I'm going to share some things with you that hopefully will help you to crack that nut. The second thing that motivates me to do this talk is our competition is getting incredibly harder. It is getting exponentially harder, and I'll come to that in a minute. But why is it getting harder to reach our audience? Over the last 10 years, and if you think back 10 years, Facebook hadn't left Harvard Yard. YouTube didn't exist. Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it, they didn't exist. My business was run on SEO and email marketing. And SEO was just putting keywords in a page, and you raise to the top of Google, and that was fine. Then you collect the email marketing, and then something remarkable happened. Every fucker opened your email. Everybody. Everybody opened your emails. And we read every word. And if it was any good at all, we'd hit reply and possibly buy. I was getting open rates of over 80% when I started doing email marketing. Okay, does anyone remember Groupon come out? 2008? Came out in 2008. I was so excited to finally be accepted by Groupon. I had my teeth whitened. I had a great tan. I had spa days. I lived like a woman for 2 years. Now, they can give me lifetime membership to the Playboy Mansion with free flights whenever I want. Go fuck yourself. Unsubscribe. Never email me again. I am busy, and you're the same, right? It is getting remarkably harder. Okay, by show of hands, and none of this, I want proper hands. Who is pissed off when someone actually rings them on the phone instead of text? How the fuck dare you ring me on my time? I don't watch any TV all year. No TV all year, apart from on the 14th of February, House of Cards comes out. I take 3 days off, watch the whole fucking series. On my time, okay? We're in a life of on-demand. Those of you with Sky or Netflix, okay, you fast-forward the adverts. Who fast-forwards the adverts? Okay, advertisers are spending a fortune to be watched at 32 times the speed. Who can sell that fast? It's about when we want to consume that information. It is getting so hard. It's unbelievable. My own mother calls me. I'm really pissed off. Fucking text me like everybody else. Now that's a problem. So we've got to work harder than we've ever worked to get our ROI. Because that's what it's about. It's about ROI, right? And I can talk to you about ROI. I'm passionate about ROI. It's still possible. Okay, now if you think that's a problem, wait till you hear this one. Our audience is getting exponentially harder to beat, okay? I'm going to overshare with you now. The people in the front see a red dot on my eye. Okay, that started off 5 weeks ago as a tiny red dot. It is now growing into a fucking lump on my face. I haven't got time to go to the doctors. I'm busy hustling for my customers and my agency. I am literally working my face off. And I am your competitor. I am your competitor. There's people out there literally working their face off. And they're working really hard and they're working really smart. But that's not the problem. I am the least of your worries. I am the least of your worries. Right now, there's loads of 14-year-old boys mastering I said, Snapchat. Now their technique, okay, because all they're interested in is putting out messages, maybe drawing on some photographs, in the vague hope of getting some messages back from women and possibly seeing some naked boobs. That's what they're trying to see. The ROI for social media for a 14-year-old boy in content marketing is boobs. That's okay. For the 14-year-old girl, it's slightly different because she's on Instagram. And she takes 2 hours to post one picture. This is true. This is actually true. You're laughing, but it's true. First of all, the lighting has got to be right. Then the hair and makeup have got to be just right. Then the angle. They will take lots of pictures until they are finally satisfied, which takes the first hour. But you know what the scary thing is? The scary thing is the next hour. If that 14-year-old girl doesn't get enough hearts on Instagram, she deletes it and does it again. Her ROI on social media and content marketing is currently hearts. Okay? Over the next 10 years, those 14-year-old kids are going to grow up having been digitally ingrained from birth. And as soon as their ROI changes from boobs and hearts, we are fucked. Okay? When I was growing up, the advantage I had over my dad was I could make the VHS clock thing stop flashing. Okay? That's it. It had no bearing on my life growing up. Nothing. These kids are digital marketeers now, and they are beating us. And when they turn their time to sales and business, we are fucking destroyed. We've got to work harder. We've got to work our face off just to keep up. It's getting harder. Right now, in terms of a digital age, 10 years, social media, content marketing like 10 years old, we can't even cross the road without an adult 10 years old. The next 10 years is going to get harder because it's going to move faster, and we're already not keeping up. So what are we going to do about it? Let me see if I can give you some pointers on trying to tackle this, because I'm genuinely worried about it. My first one is customer acquisition. I want you to think about going all in to acquire new customers right now. I'm not talking about making the thousands of pounds sales. I'm talking about get their contact details, sell them anything. Growing up, my dad always told me about things he could have done in the 70s and 80s, and one story he always tells me is there was a row of houses on a street that he lived on, and those houses in 1975 were £400 each. Okay, today they're 200 grand each. It's not a particularly interesting street, but he could have bought 15 houses for 5 grand, something like that. You know, you do the math. It's incredible. I'm sick of hearing that story. 10 years ago when Google AdWords came out, it's exactly the same thing. You look back, and I don't know if any of you are work in legal or whatever, but I remember bidding on a keyword, personal injury claim, for 10 pence. 10 pence. And it converted. We got business. Now, it's up to £100 a click. Not a conversion, a click. We don't do that anymore. It's too aggressive. If we could go back in time, knowing what we know now, we would put so much resource and effort and budget into Google AdWords, and we would rinse it. Absolutely rinse it. Okay, so I want you to go all in on customer acquisition now. Why? Because we're at the same stage with Google AdWords 10 years ago with social media. We're at the same stage. The cost per acquisition is unbelievable with social media, paid promotion right now. We just had some phenomenal examples there with really creative content That's how hard you've got to try with creative content. But the reach is declining. Great content will still be shared, but the reach is declining. In 10 years' time, we will look back. Why didn't we acquire more customers and nurture more leads and generate more customers when the cost per acquisition was so cheap? A show of hands, who's heard of Facebook dark posts? I don't know whether I'm excited by that or really deeply disappointed. That was like 7 people. The good news is you're going to love me right now, okay? Facebook dark, and by the way, the fact you're here means that you're probably more engaged and more hungry for this kind of stuff than the 99% of the rest of the marketers in the country. The fact that you go to things like this. Facebook dark posts is the #1 best means of acquiring new business on the planet right now. We're currently working with Google AdWords budgets of over £100,000 a month. We are blending with social media paid promotion, and in some cases moving it all into Facebook dark posts, because the ROI is up to 1,000 times better off, okay? Let me explain what a Facebook dark post is before somebody comes up and strangles me. Essentially, if you put some content onto your news feed with Facebook, you can then boost it. Is everyone familiar with that? Okay, if you wanted to boost 50 things in a day, and then you wanted to test 3 variations of it, your Facebook wall would look ridiculous, right? Okay, Facebook dark posts allows you to do that without posting anything to your page at all. You can put things out to just the audience, just like Google AdWords, and you can split test, and you can create reach beyond, well, you can reach everybody on Facebook, everybody. And I'm not talking about just age or geography, I'm talking about down to MasterCard information. You can contact people with laser precision of people who have bought what you're selling before. And the conversion right now is incredible. Facebook dark posts. If you don't listen to anything else, if you go for a coffee now, that's just changed your week. But it's the same happening with Twitter, promoted content on YouTube. LinkedIn have just introduced their sponsored content. Instagram and Pinterest are about to do the same. Social media is a PLC. To get your content out there, you're going to have to pay. But if you do it now, it's going to be really, really cheap. Really cheap. Pennies, not pounds. Okay, so I want you to think about that. Now, we've already established that I'm a guy who works my face off to keep up with this stuff, okay? Has anyone seen that graph about the innovators, then the early adopters, yeah, and then the mid adopters, then the late adopters, and then like the dead and idiots? Yeah, has anyone seen? Okay. And there's a thing called crossing the chasm, where something starts off, and then it works really hard to be adopted by the early majority, yeah? That's been called a chasm. It is now like this, okay? Has anyone heard of Ello? Yeah, just raise your hand, let me just see. Okay, that's good, okay. And Medium? Heard of Medium? Okay, good. There is new social media platforms popping up all over the place, okay? Most businesses I speak to, they'll wait 2 months, then they might ask, does that apply to me? Then they'll hum and haw, and after a year goes by, it becomes popular. Then they'll think, shit, we better do something about that. And then they jump in. I'm telling you, you need an early adopters division in your business, or at least an early adopters mindset to just do these things. What is the worst thing that can happen? From an organic point of view, and sometimes this is before they monetize. This is before they monetize. So you can get all sorts of stuff for free, and it's when people are excited about it. It's like email and people that read the emails. New platforms, if you get in early, you can create huge followings, or very large followings, with very little effort. Be one of the first. Usually it's you and the influencers, okay? The other people that get in first. So you make friends with them, that's a good place to be, okay? And work your face off to get new customers now, okay? Does that make sense? Okay. There is some bad news in terms of content marketing. you've probably heard stats like this before. It's probably out of date even when I finish the sentence. But if you take all the content ever published online between the dawn of time to something like 2003, that is less data that we produce every 48 hours, which is kind of mind-blowing, okay? That's exponentially growing. As a human, we haven't got the ability to compute exponential. So let's just agree, it's crazy. It's growing really fast. Now, the good news for us is 99.9999999% of it is complete shit. Now, I want total honesty, okay? I want total honesty now. Don't lie to me. Because lying is evil. Who's gone to hit the publish button on a blog and you've done it willingly and consciously, knowing that actually it's shit? Come on, I know there's more than you. Come on, let's see your hands. We've all done it. We've all done it. The rest of you are just liars. Because we've done it. I need to get a blog out this week, right? I've got to put a blog out this week. I've been told to get a blog out this week. I've got to get a blog out this week. If it's shit, what's the point? You're only as good as your last bit of content. It's a complete waste of time. Do you know what my favorite one is? I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I haven't got a single thought in my head. No. That's not my favorite one. My favorite one is, we do something dull. I can't possibly write or produce anything interesting because what we do is dull. Bullshit. That is complete shit. If you're going to do content marketing, you've got to decide consciously to put out remarkable content. Rubber content that people might have seen just before. Brilliant stuff. I call it contagious content. Content that isn't just good enough to publish, it's good enough to share. We all want a contagious brand, okay? We've got to sign up to that. Is anyone in insurance? We have one at the back too. Any more? I've been talking for a few years now, and I'm a little bit embarrassed about this because I used to say bad things about insurance people. I used to call them really dull. And I used to talk about when they came into the agency, a little piece of my heart would die because it's really hard working with insurance people because they're really dull. Now I've got about 7 or 8 insurance companies as clients, and I love you. Insurance is great. It's so exciting. Do you know why? If you go networking in a room, okay, which is exactly the same as content marketing and social media online, and everyone's dull, you just have to have this much personality to be the king of the room. You can achieve crazy stuff in the insurance sector. But let me ask you this. Who admires the brand Red Bull? Yeah? They made a conscious decision 6 years ago to own the space of extreme sports. Okay? That was their strategy. We're going to own it. Name an extreme sports subject that they don't own, that they haven't got a Red Bull brand on. They don't need to talk about sugary drink. They own extreme sports. It's got nothing to do with the fact that they sell sugary water. It's because they decided to, and they were brave, and they trusted the creative guys, and they got some momentum, and now they own that space. I think extreme sports should be owned by an insurance company. It makes sense, right? Can you imagine? Just before, and literally, they really, I've got to take my hat off to them, they will literally go to the ends of the earth for exposure, to own extreme sports. Does everyone see the rocket ship thing? Yeah? Imagine. Just before the guy jumped, he turned and signed his insurance policy. That could be an insurance company. If you do something dull, that is an opportunity and an advantage. It is not an excuse. It's not an excuse at all. I was talking to an insurance company recently, and they said, Bryan, we're thinking about sponsoring the Boris bikes. Everyone familiar with the Boris bikes in London? Does anyone know how much that cost? Anyone want to guess? For a week? Throw a number at me, or we'll be here all day. 1 million. 6 million. I'll see that 6 million, I'll raise you one. It was 7 million pounds. I said to the insurance company, don't give them 7 million pounds. And the borrow spikes are green, right? Everyone, yeah? I said, wait till Christmas, 2 weeks before. I don't think they're going to do it because they're not brave enough. So I can share, I may as well get some credit for this idea. Wait till 2 weeks before Christmas. Have 16 lorries around London, completely packed with bicycle helmets, with bows on them, and personal messages, and put a helmet on every single bike in the entire London, with a note that says, make sure you get home safely for Christmas. It would cost about £12,000. It's the cost of an idea. But you know, when you sit there with the blank screen and you say, I don't know what to write, you haven't done anything that's worthy of putting in a personal diary, never mind a blog. That's why.